Good evening, Brother Tyler. Invite everyone in this evening and leave that door open so others may join us. Welcome to another episode of Follow Me. I'm your host, one of your hosts, co-host, if you would rather, Worst Brother Will Moore, and this is my other co-host, Worst Brother Wiley Forrester. And tonight we're with you again. Sorry about missing Tuesday. Some things came up. Life got us in the face, but we're back. And tonight's episode is brought to you by
influence. Because whether you realize it or not, we have the ability to influence many.
Absolutely. Well, tonight we're going to cover a little bit about something everybody's been waiting for, begging for, and hoping for. Some have started, some haven't. Restarting our lodges.
Yeah, and then, first, before we go on all that, let's give some shout out and thanks to some of our people who are joining us tonight. As usual, it's always good to see all of you, and thank you for giving up your time. And thank you to all of you who have remained patient and not tried to get outside the bounds and do things that the Grandmaster asked us not to do. We very much appreciate that. I know all of us are really at wit's end. We're ready for things to happen, and just abide your time and patience, brethren. I mean, that's the best way we can say that, and we're so proud that everybody still takes a little bit of their time to be with us. And even when we go back to Lodge now, we're still going to do our show. We're just not sure how many episodes we'll put out, but we're going to at least come live as often as we can at that point. So, we're going to talk about some things we need to think about as we're preparing ourselves to restart. We don't know what's happening because there's so much unrest in the world right now. So we don't know, we've seen all that social distancing stuff just sort of go out the window in the last 8 to 10 days.
Yeah.
So, who knows what might happen over the next coming week? We just don't know. The uncertainty part is really rough. And
are we going to see an uptick in COVID again? I guess time will tell, because it's amazing that everybody can just show up anywhere and do anything all of a sudden out of nowhere. But we won't get into that too.
Yeah, we're not playing politics. We don't do that here. As Masons, we're taught to stay out of political and religious things. Some of us right now are doing a better job of practicing that than others. But I would like to remind everybody that, think before you speak. Sometimes take the time and put thoughts into your words. And that, with the unrest we have going on in our country right now, we all have opinions about where things are and how things are, what they are. But be understanding, and always remember that we may not always agree on everything, but just because we don't agree doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong, or vice versa. It just means we have a different opinion. Right. And we need to practice that more now than ever. I've heard reports of lodges being having some damage in other states and things like that. There's nothing here in this state that I've heard of yet. I don't know about you, Will. I don't think you've heard anything either.
Nothing.
But as far as we know, there's been no vandalism at our lodges yet. But that should speak volumes for who we are.
Right.
That they respect us enough to not vandalize our buildings and tear down our places. Now, there again, we need an understanding about what's going on in the world. We know all this misinformation is being spread out everywhere. We know certain issues have been going on for hundreds of years. We know this. But we also know, as Masons, the uneducated breeds ignorance. Mm-hmm. And we all know that, and we're taught that in our several degrees about those that ridicule us through ignorance because they're not educated. So educate yourself before you say something. Always get the facts. And if you put something out there, you better be man or lady enough to stand behind what you say. Right. Because I was raised as a person from my grandparents to always say, your word is your bond. And if they ever take your word away from you, it's sort of like taking your faith away. If you don't have faith and hope and your word, you got nothing.
Yeah.
So materialistic things can always be replaced, but your pride and your integrity and your dignity can never be replaced. So as we're seeing all this unrest going on in the country, and we're trying to figure out how to restart our lodges, we need to think about those things and always be mindful of others. You know, it takes nothing to be kind to somebody.
Right.
You know, owe them the same respect, and if they don't necessarily agree with you, that's okay. Just don't retaliate. Those are things we don't want to do, okay?
So one thing I want to say, I know we did some shout outs a little earlier. I just saw Worship Brother Bradley get online. Worship Brother Bradley, our prayers and thoughts go out to you and your family for the loss that you all have just suffered. Just know that Gay and the family are in our prayers. I just saw him pop on, so I wanted to say that. So, brethren, tonight, like I said, we're gonna talk about restarting our lodges, because that's what it is. The engines have been shut off for a while. It's time to go out there and prime the pumps, clean the lodge, and get it ready for coming back together again. Have you brushed up on your ritual? We've talked about that in several episodes.
And what we mean by that, we're just talking about your uniform opening and your uniform closing. You know, with continued things to be in place from the CDC and from our government here in Georgia, you know, I'm sure that the Grand Master and his team are going to lay out some guidelines for us as we get closer to the date. And we don't know for sure 100% that our lodges are going to reopen then. We just know that there was an order through June the 12th. But I will tell you this, that through your Zoom meetings and conversations you've had with your brethren, that we're just saying these are some things that we suggest that you prepare yourself for, especially if you're an officer or a leader in a Masonic body of any kind.
I mean, if you think about it, the 12th is a week away from tomorrow. You know, you've been out of lodge sorry, I got a nose itch like crazy tonight. But a week from today. So you haven't done anything for 3 months. Are you ready?
That's right.
Here's a big thing. Your lodges have probably been sitting stagnant for a couple of months. Easy. Probably wouldn't hurt to have a couple of brethren go up there and clean them.
Once this is released now, but not till after the Grand Master says we can do something. But
now, can a single brother go up there and vacuum the floor?
Oh, of course.
I'll be right back.
You can go ahead and vacuum my floor while you're up here. But anyway, as Will goes and takes care of his nose itch, this is one of those treasured moments we'll keep forever. Anyway, Brother McElvain said that there may be some graffiti from downtown. There's a lot of people coming in and out of downtown. Just be safe out there, brethren, and try not to put yourself in a position you don't need to be in. But we're talking about going back to lodge. Things will not be the same when we go back. As we're restarting, there'll be things in place that we'll have to take care of, and overall, there'll just be new protocol that we need to follow. We still don't know what our new normal is because we haven't been to a meeting and we don't know. Grandmaster and his team, they're working diligently to try to create safe and good environment for all of us. I know that most of you are on edge at this point. There are many things to consider other than yourself. Grandmaster, we said it many times on our show that there's 30,000 men in this state he has to worry about, and
the average age is 64.
So there's many things to consider. So when you're out there saying, or feeling like, I don't understand what the thing is, or I don't understand why we have to continue this, understand that there's more involved than just you. Every one of us want to go back to lodge, especially the Grand Master. So, the Grand Master waited 10 years to be able to do this.
And now 3 months cut off.
Yeah, it's gone for him too. So, let's try. If anybody in the world was going to be selfish, it could have been him because he waited so long to be Grand Master, and he was fortunate enough to be elected. So, as we get back restarted, if you hear brethren that are being negative about why we were shut down and this and that and the other, give them that nudge and let them know that, there's more things to consider than just opening a lodge and let us go about our business. Our brethren's health have mattered to us since day one. It's mattered to Will and I. And it should matter to all of you, because that one brother who's no longer with us, or that one brother who doesn't make that meeting with us, we'll always remember, was it because of us?
Well, and that's one of the reasons why we did this. We want to give brethren an outlet. For us, it's been a true outlet. I have missed lodge, but I haven't missed lodge as much because I've been able to do this and the Zoom meetings with my brethren from the lodge, because we've had just about a weekly meeting with the members of Tequila. And having some kind of outlet, not having an outlet would have been just awful. I don't know that you could have handled it. I don't know that I could have.
Well, that's true. That's a true statement. But also keep in mind, too, that the governor of this state still has things in place through July 12th. The CDC has guidelines in place. So when we do get to go back, we're going to have to be able to really do things differently.
Yeah, and that's where we have to wait for the Grandmaster and his team to come out with what we can and cannot do. I'm sure there's still going to be some things we are not allowed to do because of the ongoing state regulations and CDC regulations. And I don't know what we're going to be able to do and not do. I'm sure we'll see something in short order from the Grandmaster, and I don't have a date. I'm not saying it's going to come out tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to come out Monday, but I'm sure sometime before Friday
yeah,
we'll have something that says what we can and cannot do. And brother, we got to remember that even if we don't like it, we still promised that we would do what the Grandmaster said.
And his officers while they were in office.
Correct. So,
and we also made the promises about honoring and obeying the bylaw, all of our rules from our Grand Lodge and edicts that may be issued by him. So, as Masons, we made those promises to each other when we did that. So we need to honor those things, and it's not even about, it's about doing what's right. And if you promise to do something, which all of us Masons did, you need to go back and revisit the promise that you made.
Well, and you made the promise, so that's your word. Like you said before, if you go against your own word, what are you worth?
That's right.
So I know it's a little hard to think about it that way, but you got to think about it that way. As Masons, we live by our word, and we live by what we promise to do. So, brother, you just got to think about that, but you also got to start brushing up on that ritual. I've actually gone and sat in my car with another brother in his car and worked on some ritual stuff. Far enough away from each other, we kept our social distancing, just the two of us there. We just happened to be in the same place. It wasn't like, hey, go meet me here. No, we were just in the same place at the same time, and we just talked about a couple of things just to kind of brush up in our own minds some things, and then we went about our own way.
For you longtime ritualists and aficionados of the ritual, please take the time and refresh your mind, because I'm sure there'll be some of us that might need some restart in ourselves. That some lodges are faced with some adversity right now at these times, and my particular lodge is going to be faced with some adversity due to the fact that our secretary has a job that is involved with CDC. So he has a major undertaking that he has to go through every day. So, some of us nitwits may have to fill in for him as pro tem while he's doing his duty as to the country. So
yeah, and all of those out there, we've been remiss in not doing this, but all those out there who are on the front lines, the medical workers, the folks who work at the CDC, our grocery store workers, any retail store workers, all our truck drivers, police force.
Now our National Guard.
Thank you to all of them. And if you are, thank you to you. Thank you for your service to the country while we've been through this, because without you, we wouldn't have been able to keep going.
So leading up to this, if the chance happens and the Grandmaster sees fit that we can reopen, are you just going to go to the first lodge you can find that's open?
Absolutely.
So you think that's the way to work?
I tell you what, if there's a lodge I can find open on Saturday, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I know one that's going to, if they're open on Saturday, I know the one that I'll be at. If not, I'll be at 1 on Tuesday.
Well, I'm gonna ask all of you out there in TV land, are you prepared to dress the part?
That's a good question.
I mean, we
Brother Lamore, we know, no shorts.
yeah, we won't wear shorts, we promise. No tank tops, no wife beating shirts, you know, and all that good stuff that they talk about. Will you play the part?
You know, now is the time for a fresh start. For those that have been a little lax, been a little laid back in their lodge, and need to bring the what's the word I'm looking for? Bring the right.
Well, it's dignity and honor back
There
to
you
the
go.
fraternity.
Bring
you
the
know?
dignity back to the fraternity.
And here's another question for you. You know, since you go back, are you going to treat your lodge and your brethren differently now that they were taken away from you for 90 days?
Absolutely.
I mean, those are things to think about. You know, March 12th, 13th, that's when we were shut down. June 12th, 13th, we can maybe go back. When it was taken from you because of things out of all of our control, the Grand Master's control, everybody's control, are you going to look at your brethren with a greater and deeper love and appreciation than you did before we got shut down? And brethren all over the nation have been shut down, not just us. You know, are you going to have a deeper love and appreciation for the fraternity as a whole, because you know for a fact that in a minute it could be taken away from you?
Well, and the thing, I think that's a rhetorical question. I don't think there's anybody who's watching or anybody who's going to watch us in a rerun later that will not treat their lodge with a different respect and dignity and love than they have in the past, because it's, if you get to go all the time, you do take advantage of that.
But you also need to understand too, brother, that even though it may seem rhetorical, it's also one of those questions that you should think about, and you should ponder the thought through it. What does that mean to me? Is it going to carry different weight for me now when I can walk back into a meeting, put that apron on, sit in my normal seat, and listen to my brethren conduct their meeting? Is that going to carry different weight for me now?
Well, is it?
And it is. And I'll tell you why, because all of us know as men and women and adults that when something that you are passionate about is ripped from your heart without your control, it wasn't something you did or someone else did, it just happened. It hurts so bad because you're taken out of your routine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I go to lodge, I don't care whose lodge it is, I'm going to probably enjoy that visit. You and I talk much about putting these things down, paying attention, being more respectful. Now that carries more weight now than it has, because I never anticipated us being out of lodge for 10, 12 weeks. You know, I didn't expect that. So is that not going to carry a different view with me, because now I'm attentive, because now I'm going to have that attentive mind that I want to be able to retain and give it out to everybody again. I miss those parts of my life. So yeah, lodge is going to carry a different meaning for Wiley personally.
Well, and you're going to get to see those brethren who, number one, who may not be technically savvy and haven't been on the Zoom meetings, those other older brethren that you haven't seen in a while. You're going to cherish those times more. I know I am.
Me too.
I'm going to see someone who I haven't seen in 3 months, or haven't talked to, haven't been able to get a hold of because they've been busy with other things, or my life has been busy with work and other things. I'm going to look at that brother. God, I missed you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, and I want you to know that. And, you know, we talked about this of making sure your mentors know that they're your mentor. When you see these brethren, if they're a mentor to you, if you've learned anything from them, let them know. That means the world to someone.
And especially since the events of the last 8 to 10 days, you know, that's going on in our country, the word love is a powerful word. The ability to impact and influence others is probably greater now for us But it's also, you can influence and impact people now better if you train yourself to listen better. And we sometimes get caught up in the soup and we don't listen. I'm as guilty as everyone else because I'm passionate and I'm loud and I like to throw it out there and see what sticks to the wall. But being without my lodges, being in the state of unrest in this country, to know how much I love humanity and all people deserve the rights to or deserve my kindness. We're all created in the image of one. That is, Masons, we know that there's one supreme. Doesn't matter where you come from, but we're all created in that image, and everybody has earned our kindness and our love until they take it away.
Right.
So that's how I feel about Lodge. Man, I loved Lodge and I loved everybody about Lodge, but then it was taken away. Now I love it even more, and I can't wait to get back. So that's the question in itself. Are you going to treat Masonry different now, knowing that it could be taken away from you?
Oh yeah, it's going to be to me, it's a brand new start.
Absolutely.
You know, when I got into Lodge back in 2005, I laid out starting in 2007 when my son was born. I laid out of Lodge for 4 years because I wanted to spend that time with my son. Mm-hmm. Nobody faulted me for that, but I yearned to get back to Lodge.
Correct.
So when I got back into Lodge, I had a huge passion for it. Became a coach. Learned all the degrees so that I could coach, and learned the chairs again so that I could go through the chairs. And it kind of just, I still love it, but I kind of got used to going, you know, because I've been going for many years. And now that it's been ripped away again, I got that passion, that drive, that fire in me again to go back into Lodge and have fun. Now we know that those first few meetings, we go back, that engine's going to idle pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some old stale gas in it. So, brethren, be mindful of that and be prepared to forgive, as we should as Masons, because it's not going to be perfect.
Well, and don't be so hard on them. You know, I'm just as bad as everybody else when it comes to that, because
you're worse than some.
Yes, yeah, I'll own it. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm trying to go with a bigger and more open heart.
You have to, because it's going to be completely different. You know, the opening and closing are going to be rough. Mm-hmm. Think about it. So if you haven't ridden a bicycle in a long time, yeah, you can still ride it, but it takes you a little while to get your legs back under you. It's going to be the same way with Lodge. We haven't done those things for 3 months. It's going to take some time to get those ritual legs back under you. So listen, be very attentive in Lodge. Take it slow. There's no rush.
Right, there is no rush.
That's one of the things that I love seeing, and especially in my lodges. We take our time going through our stuff, and it's more beautiful that way. Take your time when you restart the lodge. This isn't a race. You don't have to pull the governor out of the engine.
Correct.
Let it idle. Let it take its time, because you know that first meeting, everyone's going to be rough. Everyone's going to be wanting to get it out and get it in through there. Take your time, because just think, you got 3 months to make up for it. Don't rush that meeting that night. Even if you can only open, do your business, do a couple things you need to, and close. Take your time and spend time with your brethren. So when you restart, be gentle on that motor, because that motor needs some love. So what do you all think in the chat? I see the chat is apparently just listening intently. So what do you guys think? What do you want to see? What are you looking forward to? Let us know.
Yes. Yeah, throw some in there. And, you know, we're anxious to hear from you. I know everybody talks about fellowship and everybody talks about just being together. You know, give us a bone. Let us know some stuff.
Well, this is a perfect place to throw in one of the quotes that you put up tonight, because this quote fits so well right here. It's by Dennis E. Adonis.
Yeah.
Never restart a journey and use the same road that failed you before. Now, I'm going to paraphrase on that, because I know the road hasn't failed us being in Masonry. But the road hasn't always been smooth because we took advantage of that road and didn't take care of that road.
Correct.
So go back and patch that road, regrade that road, get it in pristine condition so that your lodge travels that path in an easier fashion.
Fact.
Are you guys still there?
Yeah, nobody even told us anything.
Nobody said a word. So are we live or is this Memorex?
Must be Memorex.
I'm guessing. I think everybody fell asleep.
So think about this too. And this is a quote from Tony Sorensen. The last page turned is the perfect excuse to write a whole new book. We are right now in the middle where we can write an entirely new book, an entirely new chapter in our history, in world history, but Masonic history. We can do it better, we can do it bigger, we can do it with more love in our hearts. You know, you hear Will and I, we're constantly bringing up phrases and quotes that brethren that we are mentors to us are always saying. You got to love them harder. You got to love on them. You know, if it's to be, it's up to me. You know, we know those things. Now it's time to put those things into play and show exactly what they're talking about.
Well, it's an old quote, and I can't remember who said it. Be the change you want to see.
Right, always. You got to be the change you want to see.
You can't expect someone else to do it. If you wait for someone else to do it, it'll never get done.
Yep.
So,
you know,
you want to do that little?
I do want to do my little last closing remarks that I have for this week, but I'd also like to talk about our quotes first. And
okay.
You know, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You know, we're on a long journey. Remember, Freemasonry is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You don't have to join everything you want to do. I hope our leaders and all of our bodies continue to support and get counsel from the Grand Master as we transition into newer things and new roads. We're all walking the same path. It just branches off into different divisions as we go through there.
Well, talking about that quote you just said, you know, my grandmother told me from the time I was a little boy, that if you don't learn something every day, you've wasted the day.
Yeah, wasted the entire day. I agree. I couldn't agree more.
And it's kind of like that. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Those single steps have to happen every day.
Yeah, and Socrates said, you know, the secret to change is to focus all of your energy, not fighting the old, but building on the new. Well, now we have this new. You know, we have the new. This new road is in front of us. This new path, this new journey. It's just the right time for us to take the right steps.
Yeah.
You know, it's about rebuilding relationships. You know, in the Masonic fraternity, we're all about relationships. We're in the people business. You know, Brother Moore talking about step up for, for a fellow crab mason, you know, that it's all cool and all that, but I'm not sure how degree work's going to work out in the beginning.
Right.
You know, we're not real sure how this thing moves. So, but understand that our new path is different than what we did in February, what we did at the 1st of March. So our new normal is not yet been determined. We don't know what that is, and we don't know how long it's going to be in place.
Well, and I think they coined that phrase of new normal. I know we've used it a lot, but I'm not liking it the more I think about it.
Oh, I don't like it either.
Our normal will come back in time.
Yeah, hopefully.
The normal that we're going to have right now is different. I'm not going to say it's the new normal because I don't think it's going to stay. I think it's just a different normal to start with. And that's just me getting...
Well, the new normal for me carries a different definition too. The new normal for me is maybe we got a greater appreciation for the fraternity that we all say we love, and now we'll show it that we love it.
Well, and I like that, but they've used the phrase so much in the news and everything about the new normal, the new normal. I believe this country and the world is going to get back to normal. Right now, we're just going to have a different normal for a while. So that's just me getting up on my little soapbox.
Yeah, well, I can deal with that. I mean,
you know, and I have the right to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And why do I have the right to say that?
Because it's your opinion to do that, and your First Amendment allows you to do that. And in addition to that is, you know, your opinion's yours, and
I don't have to agree with this one.
I still gonna love you because you're still my brother. But anyway, so that leads us to the final comment for tonight, and it's gonna be a hot button topic, and it's gonna be something that I find. You're right, Worst Brother Mark. There are some fantastic possibilities that we can do in Freemasonry now that can lead us into the forefront. I commend you and Worshipful Brother Will on such a fantastic York Rite Grand Session that we held on Zoom. It was, you know, we all understand that there's some quirks and there's some little small things. It was the first ever. But I will tell you that the whole was greater than the small problems. It was fantastic. I thoroughly didn't think, how am I going to sit through 4 or 5 hours of a meeting on the computer? I did it. I'm sure others that have relayed the same message. When you go about something, you set the ground rules down in front, have a neutral party moderator, and just go after it. It's beautiful. I loved it.
And Wiley and I have discussed it at length, and before he gets into his last little tidbit of the night, we go back and think about it, how much, I know it's enjoyable to get with everybody, but to get these proceedings done, how much money was saved by doing this in the short form we did it, getting the business we needed to get done, you know, I'm guessing in the $100,000 range. With everyone's time and money and housing and food and
so it worked out well.
So yeah, I think all in all it worked out well for what we had to do. But can we make that not what we do from now on, but can we do this in a fashion where we could possibly cut costs in this time and age where money does get tight?
And money is going to get tighter. It is going to get extremely tight because we know brethren out there are on unemployment. They don't have jobs. We don't know when things are starting back up. You know, we have a Grand Lodge session we hope we can have in October. You know, there's been so many meetings that are yearly things for us. I hate to say traditional because tradition is crazy, but yearly meetings and functions that we go to and attend that now, we don't have budgets for those.
Well, in my humble opinion, I think we need to look at putting the possibility to do some of these things into our code so that if we ever run into situations of this nature again, we've got a way to handle things.
That's correct. And we just need to be more forward thinking because the way the Grand York Rite session was, and I really commend you and especially Worship Brother Mark for getting it organized and the way the thing was handled is just could not have been. You guys will always say it could be better, but from my point of view, someone who doesn't have a lot of technology experience, you know, I'm sure that Mark is forever grateful, and I'm sure that the Grand York Rite officers all are very grateful. And the cool thing was how it worked together in spite of other things. So with that said, we won't keep dragging things out tonight. The last thing I wanted to talk about was some of the things that I see and have seen lately. I've already made several phone calls. Y'all heard me talk about it extensively and in length.
We've talked about it at length.
More especially me, but because there's just things that are just unacceptable to me. Brethren, I love all of you, and I understand what the First Amendment says. I've read it 100 times in the last 10, 12 days. But I think that there are comments being placed on social media by guys who I know to be Masons that are pushing the limit. It's clearly pushing the limit. I understand that you don't agree with what's going on with certain things. I don't agree either. But I am not going to air certain things out on social media that someone can and will use against me later on if I'm trying to prove a point. Well, you said so-and-so during this. What makes that different? You can't take it back once you put it out there. And I say this with respect to all of you because I truly love and respect the right of your opinion. Y'all heard me say it. You've heard Will say it. It's okay that we disagree, but there are certain times and certain places to place things out there on social media. Social media, we're learning more and more every day about the downfall and what that causes us as a whole. I'm not against social media. I follow it. I follow all these brethren all over the world. But what I'm saying is, once you say something, brethren, you can't take it back. And we talk about ignorance and uneducation and, you know, how things are ridiculed. Well, when you put yourself out there in social media, you open yourself for the ridicule, and then when someone ridicules you back, you can't handle it. Now you're in an argument in a public forum, and it's ridiculous.
Or for some of us out there, and this is why I don't post a lot, I have a thought in my head, I put it down, and it doesn't come out in words the way I thought it. So someone construes that I said it in a way that was demeaning or mean, right. Or there's always going to be that negative person out there, regardless of how nice and tidy you put the package together, who's going to rip it up.
Yeah, and that's what, I mean, people thrive on negativity. And I know that it sounds so crazy, but the more positive you can be in the world, in spite of the problems, the better person you're going to be. Now, we talk about things that always get ridiculed through ignorance and uneducation in our several degrees. Please educate yourself. I can't say it enough. Educate yourself to the facts, and if you believe it to be true, be prepared to take the ridicule that comes with it. Now, Masonry, Freemasonry, was designed, and we talked about it in the beginning when we first started doing this. Freemasonry was designed to help a man with his personal growth. What better time than now to concentrate and work on your personal growth in Freemasonry and leave your mark on the history of this fraternity? Everybody has a just claim to your kindness. Everybody. And when we're out there being derogatory towards others and saying certain things on social media, in spite of, I understand what the Constitution says, but you also promised that you would not do certain things as a Mason. You promised you would not say certain things as a Mason. And yet, when I open up my social media feed every day, I see it from people who I love and respect with all my heart. But when you go and you continuously put those things out there, you're really throwing your Freemasonry away, in my opinion.
Well,
and there again, this is our opinion.
It is our opinion, but brethren, you got to think that everyone has an opinion. And this is what social media has done to this world. Everybody puts their opinions out there, and if you do not agree with it, you're wrong. And to me, that's one of the core problems in the world today. Everybody thinks that you need to think the way they do about a certain topic. And if you don't, you're called racist, you're called idiot, you're called all kinds of names. And that makes you want to backlash. The moment you backlash at something,
they win.
They've won. Because you've just brought yourself down to their level. So we understand you have that right to do what you want. We can't stop a Mason from doing what he would like to do. But always think in the back of your mind, when I post this, someone that knows me and knows that I'm a Mason is going to connect the dots and say, well, if he thinks that way, other Masons probably think that way. I don't want to have anything to do with Masonry. I want to stay completely away from that. Someone out there is going to think that way. Someone is always looking for the worst. And the proof in the pudding is, if you spend as much time on YouTube as I do, you'll see that the people making a lot of money on YouTube, a lot of money, are those people who post negative comments and negative, they run their show around a topic that's negative, completely negative. I've watched them over the past several weeks tear up this one girl on YouTube over in England who's been doing some copyright infringement stuff, but there's 2 or 3 others that are just making a ton of money off tearing her down.
And the point being, to wrap this up so we can go, is be mindful of what you say. I talked about it extensively. Will's talked about it. We have to take emotions out of our comments. We're passionate by nature. Human beings are passionate. But don't let it be your driving fire that causes you to take ridicule. And don't be judgmental, because there's only one that will judge us in the end. Mm-hmm. We just should not set ourselves up and put ourselves in positions to take certain ridicule. We believe in something, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But please don't get into arguments and backlashing against each other.
Picks and quarrels.
You know, we promised we'd keep picks and quarrels down and all those things. I'm just telling you to be mindful of your social media. And I'm begging you to be mindful of your social media, because it'll come back and haunt you.
Well, and if you need someone to talk to, pick up the phone and call a brother. That brother may not agree with you, but I guarantee you he'll listen to you. Guaranteed.
Trust me, we have these conversations often, don't we?
Even if he doesn't, even if he 180 degrees out from what you think. My brother, just remember, we're about to restart things. Remember, put fresh gas in that engine. Make sure she's oiled.
Positivity.
And be positive. Love one another and love the fraternity and the families that come with it. I not only have to love this man right here because he's my brother and he's my friend, but I have to love his wife too, which sometimes can be difficult.
But she's awesome. She's pretty awesome. But she's difficult, but she's awesome.
So, brethren, remember to watch for what the Grand Master is going to put out. We have to abide by those rules. And look forward to getting back together with your brethren, whether it's at your own lodge or someone else's lodge.
Or an appendant meeting that comes first. You know, you don't know. Whatever happens, happens. And if it doesn't happen, I know it's going to be frustrating. But hold on to that glow at the end of the... There's some light at the end of that tunnel up there. We're hoping it's on the 12th. But it may be a couple weeks past that. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. So just always look for that light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you for spending your time with us again this evening. We appreciate you and letting us vent. But the circumstances in the world right now, somebody's got to be willing to stand up and say something. Mm-hmm. You know, well, yeah, I can take the ridicule for certain things. But when we see Masons that are doing things wrong, it is our duty as Masons to help those Masons. Mm-hmm. And we're to help them. So thank you again. We love you. Thank you for giving your time. And we should always remember one important thing. What should we always do? Be excellent and love one another. Good night. Good night.